Estepienio 2026 Lokio VLE Kimiyo your future self. Because the truth is, you're not waiting for a new year, a new opportunity, or a miracle. You're stepping into a new identity. This is the moment where you stop treating your best self like a fantasy and start moving as if she already exists, already wins, already lives the life you want. Most people will walk into the next year with the same mindset, the same habits, the same energy that failed them before. But not you. You're walking into 2026 with intention, with clarity, with discipline, and with the courage to act like the person you promised yourself you'd become. This is not about motivation. It's about embodiment. It's about making decisions your future self has already mastered, cutting off anything that drains your potential, and showing up with the level of self-respect and self-belief that demands a different outcome. So before the clock changes, ask yourself, are you ready to stop surviving your life and start leading it? Are you ready to step into the year as if your success is guaranteed? Because the version of you in 2026 is powerful, and she's waiting for you to catch up. Stepping into 2026 like you've already become your future self begins with one profound truth. Your future identity is not waiting for some perfect moment to be activated. It is waiting for you to match its energy. Everything you desire in 2026, your goals, your growth, your relationships, your opportunities, already exists in a higher energetic frequency than your current state. This means that you cannot attract the life you want by remaining the person you've been. You must begin embodying the energy of the life you're aiming for long before it arrives. When you think about your future self, the version of you who is stronger, wiser, wealthier, more disciplined, more fulfilled, she does not wake up overwhelmed. She does not negotiate with her goals. She does not move through life reacting to circumstances. She leads. She knows exactly who she is and what she stands for. She walks into rooms with presence, speaks with intention, organizes her life with purpose, treats herself with respect, and makes decisions rooted in clarity. To step into 2026 like her, you must begin adjusting your internal compass to match her frequency. That means paying attention not just to what you do, but to how you feel, how you think, and how you emotionally operate. Energy is everything. Your future self attracts better because she is better. She radiates alignment, and alignment is magnetic. The biggest misconception people have about transformation is that it starts with external change. But the truth is that it begins internally. It begins with energy before strategy, identity before action, belief before results. The energy you hold today forms the foundation for the reality you create tomorrow. When you wake up feeling scattered, unmotivated, or emotionally drained, you are operating far away from the energy of your future self. She operates from stability, from groundedness, from certainty. She does not rush or panic because she trusts her ability to handle life. She sees challenges not as threats but as invitations to evolve. If you want to close the distance between who you are now and who you want to become, you must practice energetic discipline. This means saying no to chaos, distancing yourself from draining people, refusing to participate in conversations that pull you backward, and not tolerating anything that threatens your peace. Your future self thrives in environments that nourish her growth. So if your current environment feels heavy, unstructured, or misaligned, it's a sign that you must upgrade the space around you to upgrade the energy within you. Another part of stepping into this energy is understanding that your future self operates with emotional sovereignty. She doesn't let other people decide how she feels. She doesn't chase validation or shrink to make others comfortable. She knows her worth without needing to defend it. Emotional maturity is a foundational part of her identity. To embody this now, start observing your emotional triggers instead of reacting to them. When someone tries to pull you into drama, see it as a test of your energetic boundaries. When someone underestimates you, recognize that it has nothing to do with your value. When life throws unexpected obstacles, respond like the future version of you would, not with panic, but with strategy. You cannot become your future self if you are constantly controlled by your present emotions. Every time you choose emotional regulation over reaction, you step closer to the person you're becoming. Your future self also carries a completely different relationship with discipline and consistency. Not the harsh discipline that burns you out, but the sovereign discipline that protects your goals. She does not force herself to be disciplined. She identifies as a disciplined person. That subtle shift changes everything. When you identify as someone committed, your behaviors follow naturally. You no longer ask, "Should I work on my goals today?" because your identity already answers it. You no longer negotiate with excuses because the future you has already outgrown them. To step into this energy now, begin practicing small, consistent habits that align with her lifestyle. Wake up with intention rather than defaulting into autopilot. Take care of your body like someone who values longevity and strength. Prioritize your mental health with the kind of seriousness that your future success requires. Build routines that nourish you instead of drain you. Every small habit becomes a signal to your subconscious that you are becoming her. Another essential part of matching your future energy is upgrading your self-talk. Your future self does not speak to herself with doubt, fear, or self-sabotage. Her inner voice empowers, not destroys. She tells herself the truth, not her fears. She reminds herself of her strength, not her limitations. If your current internal dialogue is harsh or restrictive, it's time to shift it. Talk to yourself in a way that builds the identity you want. Speak in affirmations that align with your goals. Replace, "I hope I can," with, "I am capable of." Replace, "I don't know how," with, "I am learning." Replace, "I'm not ready," with, "I am preparing." This shift is not about pretending. It's about training your mind to recognize your potential instead of your fears. Lastly, stepping into your 2026 energy means understanding that your future self makes decisions from vision, not emotion. She chooses long-term fulfillment over short-term relief. She invests in her growth, her healing, her education, her career, her boundaries. She knows that every choice either moves her forward or pulls her backward. So when you're faced with a decision, big or small, ask yourself, what would the 2026 version of me choose right now? Let her guide your actions. Let her voice become louder than your old habits. Let her confidence override your insecurities. Because the moment you start making decisions from your future identity, your present reality begins to shift. When you begin matching the energy of your future self, everything around you elevates. Opportunities appear. People treat you differently. You see life through a higher lens. You stop surviving and start leading. This is how you enter 2026. Not as the person you were, but as the person you were always becoming. Becoming your future self in 2026 requires a profound internal shift. You must change your identity long before your life changes on the outside. Most people chase new results while carrying the same old identity, and that's exactly why they get stuck, repeating the same cycles year after year. They want confidence, but still think like someone who doubts themselves. They want consistency but still identify as someone who struggles to stay disciplined. They want success but still operate like someone waiting for permission. Your identity is the root of your outcomes. Whatever you believe about who you are becomes the ceiling of what you can achieve. If you want to walk into 2026 like the strongest, most elevated version of yourself, you must determine who that version is at the identity level, not just the goal level. The future you is not defined by resolutions, she is defined by embodiment. She doesn't hope to be confident, she is confident. She doesn't want to be disciplined, she is disciplined. She doesn't try to be focused, she lives in focus. Changing your identity means deciding to stop being the person who merely wants change and becoming the person who expects it, creates it, and lives in alignment with it every single day. Identity shifts begin with asking one powerful question. Who am I becoming? And once that becomes clear, you must ask an even more important one. What does she no longer do? Because identity is not just about adding new habits, new beliefs, and new behaviors. It's about releasing the versions of yourself that no longer fit the life you're stepping into. The 2026 version of you does not procrastinate until her dreams become emergencies. She does not attach herself to people who drain her. She does not keep environments that keep her small. She does not negotiate with excuses or settle for emotional chaos. She has evolved emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and energetically. So if you want to shift your identity now, begin by peeling back the layers of who you were taught to be. Were you taught to play small, to please others, to doubt your instinct, to settle instead of striving, to fear failure. These old identities may have protected you once, but they will suffocate your potential now. Letting go of them is not betrayal. It's liberation. A true identity shift also demands that you stop living on autopilot. Your old identity is comfortable, predictable, familiar, and deeply programmed by years of repetition. That's why change feels uncomfortable. It threatens the defaults your brain has built to keep you safe. But safety and growth rarely coexist. Your future self is not hiding in your comfort zone. She is waiting outside of it. This means you must intentionally disrupt your patterns. If you always wait until you feel ready, act before you feel ready. If you always overthink, decide faster. If you always hold back, take up more space. When you behave in ways your old self would never choose, you break the cycle. You rewire your identity through action, not intention. Transformation doesn't happen through inspiration. It happens through repeated evidence that you are no longer who you used to be. Every time you choose differently, you send a message to your subconscious, we are changing now. To shift your identity, you must also re-examine your beliefs, because beliefs are the foundation of who you allow yourself to become. Your old beliefs were built from old experiences, old environments, old conversations, old fears, and old versions of you. But your future self holds upgraded beliefs. She believes she is capable. She believes she is worthy. She believes she deserves better. She believes that change is possible. She believes she can handle what she asks for. These beliefs are not fantasies. They are standards. If you continue carrying limiting beliefs into 2026, they will cage your potential before the year even begins. So confront them. Ask yourself, what beliefs are blocking my future identity? Replace self-limiting beliefs with self-liberating ones. Replace doubt with certainty. Replace fear with curiosity. Replace, I can't, with, I'm learning. Replace, I'm not that kind of person, with, I am becoming her right now. Another crucial part of identity transformation is emotional mastery. Your future self does not let temporary emotions sabotage long-term goals. She knows discipline won't always feel good, healing won't always be easy, and growth won't always be comfortable. But she does it anyway because she leads her feelings. She doesn't follow them. If you want to step into her identity, you must recognize that emotional comfort is often the enemy of personal evolution. Your old identity gives up when it feels stressed, triggered, overwhelmed, or insecure. But your future identity sees these emotional waves as tests of strength. She uses them as opportunities to build resilience, patience, and self-control. And the more emotionally steady you become, the more unstoppable you become. Your identity also shows up through your choices. The future version of you makes choices that protect her potential, her peace, her time, and her self-respect. She chooses alignment over attachment. She chooses growth over comfort. She chooses consistency over chaos. She chooses long-term rewards over short-term gratification. Each decision you make in the present either strengthens or weakens the identity you are trying to form. If you want to become your future self, begin making decisions from her level. Think like her, react like her, plan like her, choose like her. When the two identities conflict, choose the future one. Finally, identity transformation requires embodiment, living as if your future identity is already real. This does not mean pretending. It means leading with confidence instead of waiting for evidence. It means trusting your potential instead of waiting for approval. It means acting like someone destined for more instead of someone hoping for it. When you embody your future self now, life begins rearranging itself around your new frequency. The people around you change. The opportunities you attract change. The conversations you tolerate change. The standards you live by change. And slowly, your external world catches up to your internal identity. This is how you step into 2026 with power, not by waiting for the year to change you, but by becoming the person who changes the year. When you shift your identity, you shift your entire destiny. Ailigien your de way biswadi hthe lefuo you win to levi. Stepping into 2026 as your future self means understanding that your habits are not just routines, they are the architecture of your destiny. Every single day, whether you realize it or not, you're practicing the habits that shape your identity, your energy, your results, and ultimately your life trajectory. Your future self, The version of you who is successful, grounded, focused, confident, and whole did not arrive there by chance. She arrived through intentional habits that support her evolution. She didn't wait for the perfect time, the perfect level of motivation, or the perfect conditions. She built the life she wanted through small, consistent actions that aligned with her bigger vision. To step into her reality, you must start living in a way that reflects the lifestyle you're dreaming of. If your habits contradict the life you want will remain a dream. But when your habits align with your vision becomes your new normal. The first step in aligning your habits with your future identity is recognizing that your current routine is either preparing you for your dreams or protecting your comfort zone. Your future self is not built in breakthroughs, it's built in what you do repeatedly. Look honestly at your daily actions, the way you wake up, the content you consume, the conversations you entertain, the food you eat, the time you waste, the efforts you make, the promises you break, the distractions you chase. These behaviors are not random, they are shaping you into a certain kind of person. The question is, do they shape you into the person you are becoming, or the person you're trying to outgrow? The future version of you, call her your 2026 self, does not wake up scrolling through her phone for an hour. She does not procrastinate her goals until they become overwhelming. She does not allow her day to be dictated by her moods. She moves with intention. She creates structure. She protects her time. She respects her body and her mind. She keeps her promises to herself even when it's inconvenient, because her habits build her reputation with herself. If you want to align your life with hers, start by upgrading your daily standards. A major part of aligning your habits with your future identity is shifting your relationship with discipline. Most people think discipline means forcing yourself to do things you don't want to do. But true discipline is self-respect. It's choosing the actions that serve your future instead of indulging your impulses. It's understanding that your future self deserves more than the comfort your present self keeps choosing. When you approach discipline as a form of honor to your potential, your dreams, your healing, your growth, it becomes easier to maintain. Think about it. The confident, powerful, elevated version of you in 2026 doesn't try to stay disciplined. She simply is disciplined because her goals mean something to her. She sees discipline not as punishment, but as a privilege, because it's the path that leads her to the life she deserves. To embody her now, start treating small commitments like sacred contracts. Wake up at the time you said you would. Complete the task you promised yourself. Follow through on the goals you set. Not because it's easy, but because the future you would expect nothing less. Your habits also reflect the level of emotional maturity you hold. Most people let emotions control their decisions. I don't feel like working today. I don't feel like exercising. I don't feel like focusing. I don't feel like being productive. But emotions are temporary. Your results are permanent. The future you does not let her feelings dictate her actions. She acknowledges them but does not obey them. She separates her temporary discomfort from her long-term purpose. If you want to align your habits with hers, start practicing emotional neutrality. Do the work even when you don't feel like it. Show up even when you're tired. Choose responsibility over avoidance. Growth requires emotional resilience, the willingness to stay committed even when your emotions fluctuate. Another important aspect of aligning your habits with your future identity is refining your environment. Your environment forms the invisible framework that shapes your behavior. If your space is cluttered, your mind becomes cluttered. If your environment is chaotic, your actions become chaotic. Your future self lives in an environment that reflects clarity, intention, and calmness. She surrounds herself with order because order elevates her focus and energy. She distances herself from negativity because negativity suffocates her potential. She protects her environment as fiercely as she protects her goals. Start aligning your habits with hers by making your environment supportive. Clean your space. Plan your day. Declutter your digital life. Limit access to people who drain you. Spend time in places that inspire growth. When your environment aligns with your identity, your actions naturally follow. Your habits must also reflect your priorities. Many people claim they want transformation, but their habits prove otherwise. They prioritize comfort over growth, validation over purpose, entertainment over education, instant gratification over long-term fulfillment. Your future self, the powerful version of you walking confidently into 2026, has different priorities. She prioritizes learning. She prioritizes healing. She prioritizes growth. She prioritizes financial wisdom, physical wellness, mental clarity, emotional balance, and spiritual grounding. If you want to align your habits with hers, start rearranging your priorities. Replace mindless scrolling with intentional learning. Replace gossip with self-improvement. Replace late nights with better sleep. Replace distractions with deep focus. Replace fear with action. Every small change compounds. Finally, aligning your habits with your future identity requires consistency, not perfection. Perfection is unrealistic and unnecessary, but consistency is powerful and transformative. Your future self didn't get where she is by being perfect. She got there by being consistent. She took small steps every day. She kept moving even on days she stumbled. She trusted the process instead of rushing it. She understood that progress is built through repetition, not intensity. If you want to embody her, commit to consistency, show up daily, improve gradually, celebrate small wins, accept setbacks as part of growth. The more consistent you are, the faster you collapse the distance between your current self and your future identity. Aligning your habits with the life you want is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters. It's about making your daily actions reflect your highest vision. Your future self is not a dream, she is a blueprint. Build her through your habits, and you will walk into 2026 already living the life she once imagined. Relas evie retain nu lubabalange to lower fiduori. Stepping into 2026 like you've already become your future self requires one of the hardest, most transformative acts you will ever commit to letting go of everything that no longer aligns with the life you want. Because the truth is, you cannot elevate while carrying the weight of old habits, old wounds, old relationships, old patterns, old insecurities, and old versions of yourself that were built for survival, not growth. Your future self is not created by adding more to your life, but by subtracting what weakens your potential. The 2026 version of you does not tolerate the same excuses, the same emotional cycles, the same draining people, or the same limiting beliefs that once kept you stuck. She has released, with courage and intention, the things that can't follow her into her next chapter. Releasing is not just an emotional decision, it is a strategic one. Your future self has no room for what lowers her frequency, confuses her vision, or delays her transformation. She honors her path too much to carry what breaks her spirit. So if you want to become her, you must stop asking what to add to your life and start asking what to remove. Letting go begins with self-honesty. You must look at your life without denial, without justification, without sugarcoating, and ask ye, what is holding me back? What is draining my energy? What is lowering my standards? What is keeping me attached to a version of myself I've already outgrown? These questions are uncomfortable because they reveal truths you might have avoided for years, but they are necessary for transformation. Maybe you're holding on to friendships that no longer serve your growth, connections built on history, not alignment. The people around your future self aren't the ones who compete with you, gossip with you, drain you, or make you dim your shine. They are the ones who challenge you, uplift you, and respect the boundaries you set. If your current circle reflects your old identity, you must be brave enough to walk alone until you meet the people who match your next level. Letting go also means releasing old emotional patterns. Your future self cannot rise if you're still reacting from old wounds. Many people carry unhealed emotions into new chapters and wonder why life feels repetitive. Something small triggers you, and suddenly you're behaving like the person you were 5 years ago. Your future self doesn't allow old pain to dictate new behavior. She knows that healing is not about forgetting, it's about refusing to let the same emotions run your life. She feels deeply but responds consciously. She takes responsibility for her emotional evolution instead of blaming others. If you want to step into her identity, you must release the emotional baggage that keeps you operating from a place of fear, insecurity, or survival. This means forgiving yourself for past choices, acknowledging where you settled, and letting go of the shame attached to who you were. Your past was necessary, but it is not meant to be permanent. Releasing also requires letting go of limiting beliefs. These beliefs are often invisible. They hide in your self-talk, your hesitation, your procrastination, and your resistance to change. Limiting beliefs whisper things like, "You're not ready. You're not good enough. You always mess things up. You don't deserve better." Or, "It's too late for you." But none of these beliefs belong to your future self. She does not think in fear, she thinks in possibility. She does not narrate her life from a place of lack, she speaks from abundance. She does not assume failure, she expects progress. If you want to shift into her mindset, you must identify every belief that shrinks you and replace it with beliefs that build you. This isn't delusion, it's self-liberation. You are releasing mental prisons that were never yours to keep. Another major aspect of letting go is releasing outdated habits that conflict with your future lifestyle. If your habits contradict your goals, you will sabotage your own progress. Your 2026 self does not entertain habits that waste time, drain energy, or stagnate growth. She doesn't procrastinate important work, cling to distractions, indulge in emotional chaos, or abandon herself for temporary comfort. She prioritizes discipline over pleasure, long-term progress over short-term relief, and consistency over intensity. To embody her now, you must let go of habits that keep you stuck in cycles of frustration. This might require setting routines, creating structure, practicing accountability, and disciplining your impulses. Your old habits shaped your old life. Your new habits must shape your new reality. Letting go also means releasing the version of yourself who accepted less than she deserved. This may be the hardest release of all, because you've spent years becoming that version, adapting, adjusting, surviving, pleasing, settling, coping. But she cannot lead you into 2026. She was necessary for who you were, but she is incompatible with who you are becoming. Release the self who lowered her standards to feel accepted. Release the self who stayed quiet to avoid conflict. Release the self who feared rejection more than self-betrayal. Release the self who avoided her potential because she didn't feel ready. Release the self who tolerated disrespect, inconsistency, or mediocrity. Release her with gratitude, not guilt. She protected you when you didn't know better, but now you do. Finally, letting go means releasing the timeline you thought your life had to follow. Your future self does not rush. She does not compare herself to others. She does not panic about where she should be. She trusts her process. She knows that every delay held a lesson, every setback built strength, and every detour shaped wisdom. If you want to embody her, you must let go of the pressure to have everything figured out. Progress is not linear, it's layered. Growth is not instant, it's earned. The life you want will come when you become the person who can handle it. Releasing is not loss, it is elevation. It is making room for what aligns. It is clearing the space your future self needs to thrive. And when you let go of everything that doesn't belong in your next chapter, you step into 2026 lighter, clearer, stronger, and fully aligned with the identity you're becoming. Levi asaf yo urftr self is teaching yo. If you want to step into 2026 like you've already become your future self, you must begin living every single day as if she is watching you. Observing your choices, your habits, your discipline, your reactions, your focus, and your commitment. Because the truth is, she is watching you. She is shaped by the decisions you make right now. She is built from your consistency, strengthened by your discipline, elevated by your boundaries, and expanded by your courage. The future version of you doesn't magically appear on January 1st of a new year. She emerges from the actions you take in the quiet moments when no one is watching. When you begin living as if your future self is the standard you must meet, not a fantasy you admire, your life transforms. You stop moving like someone who hopes for change and start moving like someone who expects it. You begin making decisions that honor your potential instead of indulging your excuses. You begin embodying the confidence, focus, and commitment that your future self already holds. This is how real transformation begins, not in the external world, but in how you show up internally. To live as if your future self is watching you, you must first understand that she is not impressed by intentions. She is impressed by execution. She doesn't care about how many times you plan to start over, how often you talked about change, or how loudly you promised yourself you'd be different. Your future self is built by the moments you choose discipline over distraction, progress over procrastination, and growth over comfort. She sees the days when motivation disappears, but you show up anyway. She sees the nights when you want to quit, but you choose persistence. She sees the sacrifices you make, the boundaries you uphold, and the energy you protect. She sees the version of you who refuses to betray your own potential. This is who she becomes because this is who you become. When you embody this mindset, you stop giving your present self the authority to sabotage the life your future self deserves. Living as if your future self is watching you also means upgrading your decision-making. Most people make decisions based on immediate emotions. They choose what feels good right now, not what will matter later. But your future self doesn't make choices from temporary feelings. She chooses from long-term alignment. She doesn't choose comfort, she chooses purpose. She doesn't choose distractions, she chooses progress. She doesn't choose instant gratification. She chooses long-term fulfillment. If you want to live as she would, you must begin asking yourself one simple but transformative question. What decision would the 2026 version of me make right now? And then you must make that choice, even if it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, or unfamiliar. The moment you start making decisions through your future self's lens, your present life begins to shift. To embody your future self now, you must also elevate your standards. Your future self doesn't share space with inconsistency, disrespect, or mediocrity. She doesn't entertain relationships that drain her, conversations that distract her, or commitments that do not align with her values. Her standards reflect her self-worth. She knows exactly who she is, what she expects, and what she refuses to tolerate. When you begin living from her standard, you naturally raise the bar for your environment, your relationships, and your own behavior. You stop apologizing for wanting more. You stop settling for less. You stop shrinking your potential to make others comfortable. You stop accepting explanations when you need evidence. The higher your standards, the easier it becomes to protect your energy and elevate your life. Because your future self doesn't wait for permission to expect better, she lives as someone who deserves better. Living as if your future self is watching you also means becoming someone you can trust. Think about it. How many times have you made promises to yourself that you didn't follow through on? Every broken promise weakens your identity. It damages your self-respect. It convinces your subconscious that you cannot rely on yourself. But your future self is built on self-trust. She keeps her commitments because she knows her word matters. She doesn't negotiate with excuses because her goals matter. She doesn't postpone her growth because her future matters. If you want to embody her now, you must begin repairing your relationship with yourself. Start by keeping small promises. Follow through on small goals. Hold yourself accountable even when no one else will. When you prove to yourself that you can be trusted, you unlock a level of confidence that cannot be taken away from you. Another part of living as if your future self is watching you involves stepping into courage. Your future self does not live in fear. She lives in possibility. She doesn't hold back because she's afraid of failure, rejection, or judgment. She moves boldly because she understands that playing small won't get her where she's going. She knows that fear is a signal, not a barrier. She sees risks as opportunities. She understands that discomfort is a bridge to transformation. If you want to embody her courage, you must take the leaps she would take. Say yes to the opportunities she would embrace. Say no to the things she would abandon. Speak up where she would stand tall. Trust yourself the way she already trusts you. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move despite fear. Lastly, living as if your future self is watching you requires consistency and patience. Transformation does not happen in giant leaps. It happens in tiny repetitions. It happens in the way you show up each morning, the way you manage your energy, the way you treat yourself, the way you protect your path. Your future self didn't get where she is overnight. She accumulated progress, one aligned choice at a time. If you want to become her, you must embrace the long game. You must trust the process even when the results are not visible. You must stay committed even when you feel discouraged. You must keep showing up even when progress feels slow. Because your future self is not waiting to see perfection. She is waiting to see consistency. When you live as if your future self is watching you, you step into a new level of awareness, discipline, alignment, and self-respect. You begin shaping your present with the wisdom of the person you are becoming. And as you do, life begins to align with your vision. Opportunities open, energy amplifies, growth accelerates, and slowly, powerfully, you walk into 2026 already embodying the future you were once dreaming of.